This is Ian Hamilton, Field Technical Manager for the West with Syngenta. I'm down here at our Dorset wheat demonstration site. In front of you, you can see the variety plots laid out across the tram line. On the right, we have fungicide untreated. On the left, we have fungicide treated. And in the middle, you can see the tram line itself, which had neither fungicide nor growth regulator. And if you look clearly, you can see varieties with different growth heights and responses to growth regulator. Over to the left, in the commercial crop of Kerin, is a replicated fungicide trial where we're looking at different programs and inputs. It is now the 9th of June. All fungicide programs were completed last week, with the T3s going on a week ago. And we're going to have a look, see if we can see any differences at this moment in time. Despite the relatively dry weather, there has been a bit of rain in the last week or so, with more forecast later on this week. Whilst the main focus of this site is to look at Septoria on different varieties, we have this year, with the weather conditions, picked up quite a bit of rust, yellow rust on a number of varieties. And indeed, if we look here at the Crusoe, as you might expect in the untreated, we've actually got a fair amount of brown rust that has just built up over the last week or so. Down here, another example here. This is the variety X-Days, quite a tall variety, as you can see. This variety is in here, gaining popularity because of its good disease resistance. And indeed, if you look into the plots here, you can see it's pretty clear. We've got 3 clean leaves, an odd little bit of disease down on leaf 4, but it's doing what we'd expect it to do in terms of disease. Moving a bit further down, another couple of varieties which are quite tall. We've got Skyscraper and Gravity. If we just look at the untreated Skyscraper, you can see here we're just starting to get some Septoria building up to leaf 3. In fact, we've got a little bit at leaf 2 in some places. So the disease is starting to build despite the low rainfall we've had. If we look across at the other side, the fungicide programs had a full program, T0, T1, T2 and indeed T3. You can see that's looking pretty clean right the way down even to leaf 5. So again, the fungicide is doing what we'd expect them to do. Further down here, the final 4 varieties in the variety screen, we've got some candidates at the bottom. The one you can see looking more like the Crusoe is actually a Syngenta candidate variety. In front of me here we have Gleam, well established Syngenta variety, hard group 4. Again, this is the untreated, and you can see it's actually relatively clean still. There's a bit of Septoria at the bottom, but not a lot else. Next to that, we've got another new variety, SY Inciter. Quite tall in the untreated, but a good response to the PGR program we put on, a T1 followed by a T2. So it's responded well to that, and in fact is no taller than the other varieties here with a PGR. If we look into the crop, it's looking fairly clean here, just a bit of Septoria at the bottom and not a lot else. 2 varieties here, another benchmark variety here. This is actually Kinetic in here. This variety, you can see, is quite a bit of tipping in it on this site. And if we look in, there's quite a bit of dead tissue and striping. This is yellow rust, and in fact at this site, this variety is carrying the highest level of yellow rust in the untreated. However, we look across to the other side, which has had the full fungicide program, including flag leaf spray of a Alatus era with Folpet. You can see we have done a very good job at controlling the yellow rust. I'd say finally, this is the new candidate variety from Syngenta. Good marker variety because it's got that nice bright green colour. And again, we look in here, the disease levels are relatively low given the time of year. So we've got a reasonable amount of green leaf. A quick look over in the treated plot. and you should see that it is even greener right down to leaf 4. The final section here is a demonstration looking at 3 varieties with different Septoria ratings. First we have Graham with a good rating. In the middle you can see the Skyfall there, which has a moderate rating, and at the far end we have Kerin, the same as the commercial crop, which has a lower rating. And we're looking at different levels of input specifically to look at Septoria. So very quickly, there's not a lot of Septoria at the moment, but you can see in the Graham, this is the untreated Graham, and again not carrying high levels of Septoria. Next to that is the standard fungicide program, which indeed is even cleaner, plenty of green leaf in there. If we move along here to the Skyfall, clearly obvious with its awns. Again, as far as Septoria goes, it's actually relatively clean. However, we can see here the odd bit of yellow rust, or where yellow rust has been in the plots, which came in quite early, but hasn't developed massively. Adjacent to that, we've got the treated Skyfall, which again is looking pretty clean right the way down. And then finally, at the bottom here, we've got the Kerin, which is here for its lower Septoria rating. And indeed we can see more Septoria at the base of the crop, but we can actually also see some yellow rust. So even on this variety we've had some yellow rust coming in as well. And then the treated plot here, again pretty clean right the way down to leaf 4, with the Septoria and the rust well controlled. So we'll come back in a couple of weeks to see how the Septoria in particular has developed. We're due to get some more rain later this week, but that's all for now.